Hello everyone, this is Sirian, and today I've got some pretty nifty domination gameplay for you on Nuketown. I'm primarily using the MP7 in this video, but I do switch up weapons a few times throughout. It's a pretty entertaining game, so I hope you guys enjoy it while I talk about the Black Ops 3 beta. Now, the beta finished up a few days ago, so it only seems right that I give my thoughts on a very interesting first impressions. Now please remember that the game I played was still in beta, so who knows how much it'll change up from here until full release in November. So anyway, let's get right into it. Uh, in summary, my first impressions of Black Ops 3 is that it's fun and it's good. That's very simplified. It's not quite what I was expecting, and it's not 100% what I wanted from a Black Ops 3 game, but it seems like it has tons of potential, and I'm really hoping it's as fun on full release as it was in the beta. Uh, anyway, first things first, I'm going to get into the stuff that I didn't really like, so I can get that out of the way. The main thing I had an issue with during the beta was the frame rate. Now I understand that everyone was getting micro stutters on PC, because lots of people were complaining about it, but my problems were a little more extensive. I found that if I wanted to stream the game, I couldn't hold a solid 120 FPS, not even close. In most cases, my FPS hovered between 70 and 90, and it fluctuated a lot. Now, this was a big problem for me because when the frame rate is inconsistent like that, it gets really hard to aim. I don't know if, I'm sure everyone else feels the same way. Anyway, honestly, for a lot of the beta, I felt like a complete idiot trying to outgun people because I just couldn't track them. I couldn't aim. I couldn't track them in the same way I would in Black Ops 2 or Advanced Warfare or any of the CODs I've played previously. Man, it was quite frustrating. Now, this isn't really the game's fault. It's an issue that I'm going to have to look into for when the game is fully released. Not everyone was getting such bad frame rates. I'm assuming it's CPU related, and I'm going to have to look into upgrading my CPU, even though my current CPU is quite the beast. Apparently it's not beastly enough to both stream and render what is apparently a fairly stressful game to render. Anyway, that's something I'm going to have to look into, so it's not really the game's fault, but I do hope that the game will be better optimized come November, because I do have a computer that's substantially better than the average, and I know, well, I would like to think nobody likes playing at stuttery frame rates. Anyway, so, moving on from the frame rate issues, some of the other things I wasn't too impressed with were the gun sounds and reject. Now, I don't know about anyone else, but I thought the gun sounds in Black Ops 3 sounded awful. They were just terrible. Probably the worst gun sounds in any COD to date. It's a rather strange issue, since the other sounds in the game are very good. You know, I thought explosions sounded great, the voice acting was decent, but just the gun sounds were they were awful. They just sounded like weak little Tinker Toys. It's not exactly a huge deal, it might seem a little bit of an odd complaint, but I do think that having satisfying gun sounds is an important part of making a successful shooter. So that's not ideal. I don't see them doing anything about it between now and November, but it's unfortunate. And finally, we move on to Rejact. Now, for those who don't know, Rejact is a specialist ability that lets you resurrect on the spot after you die. It's basically a second chance mechanic, and it's a little bit controversial, but I'm just going to go out and say that Rejact and mechanics like it have no place in any FPS, especially what is supposed to be a fast, arcadey FPS like Black Ops 3 or any Call of Duty. I've had a few people say to me, you know, oh, well, Sirian, if you can't kill people who are using Rejact, then you're just bad. These people are just demonstrably wrong, because off the top of my head I can think of plenty of situations where Rejact will get you killed, regardless of how good or bad you are. The most obvious example is any situation where you're alone against more than one opponent. Now let's say you kill player A. Now you still have player B to deal with. Oh wait, as you kill player A, you see the green Rejact cloud start to swirl. Player A has the ability to delay his actual respawn time for quite a while, so if you want your best shot at killing him, you have to keep an eye on the cloud until he starts his respawn. Now, I don't think you need to be a genius to see how this is a problem. You're left with the dilemma of keeping one eye on the rejacker to see when he respawns, while also having to deal with player B. Now, if either player B or player A are even halfway decent, one of them is going to kill you during this sequence. Either player B will flank and get the easy kill while you deal with the rejacker, or the rejacker will delay his spawn until you're busy with player B and then get the easy kill. It doesn't matter which way you slice it, things aren't going to work out well unless the people you're playing against are absolutely terrible. Anyway, moving on from that. Speaking from a gameplay perspective, Reject is probably my biggest issue with Black Ops 3. I really hope it isn't in the final release, because all it will do is add annoying, unavoidable deaths, and I think we can all say that Call of Duty has quite enough of those as is. So, that's my thoughts on things that hopefully will be improved come November, though, I mean, Reject is in the beta, the chances of it being in the full game are quite high, which is unfortunate. Anyway, let's talk about gun balance. I'm not going to get in depth about guns in this video. I will say that I think the guns in Black Ops 3 are the weakest I've ever used in Call of Duty. Substantially weaker than Black Ops 2, which had guns that were, you know, kind of renowned for not being that good already. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I do think it's interesting, and I wanted to touch on it here. I think it probably stems from being able to put so many attachments on your gun in Black Ops 3. Treyarch obviously didn't want the guns to get completely ridiculous. For example, can you imagine a 5 or 6 attachment AN-94 with, say, extended mags, fast mags, stock, quick draw, and grip? I think we can see where where that might lead, you know. I think as a result, they made the base guns very, very weak relative to other Call of Duty games, and I think that might make them a little difficult to balance, because, well, you know, you think back to the games where most guns were viable, and my first thought is, you know, Modern Warfare 2, because all of the guns were so good. You know, even in Call of Duty 4, all of the guns in that game are pretty damn good. They have very fast time to kills. The moment you start extending time to kills, I think it makes gun balance a little more difficult. Anyway, finally, I briefly wanted to touch on the maps. Now, there are only 4 maps available to play in the beta. I did quite like each of them, with Combine being my favorite and Hunted probably being my least favorite. Now, whether that has anything to do with the fact that I got my best frame rate on Combine and my worst on Hunted, I don't know, I couldn't tell you. I did feel, though, that Hunted was a little bit too big for a 6v6 Call of Duty map, especially given that your movement in Black Ops 3 is not crazy. You know, you're a bit faster than previous CODs, but it's not, you know, you're not bunny hopping around all over the place. You're not even as fast as you were in AW, and AW's maps weren't particularly huge either. Anyway, overall though, I do think the maps were solid and for the most part nicely designed, which is rather fitting because that basically describes my first impressions for the beta as a whole, you know, solid and nicely designed. I think it's got loads of potential. I am hoping that they make quite a few improvements between now and November, and I am definitely looking forward to playing it when it comes out. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. I'm going to be making some more Black Ops 3 related videos very soon, so I hope you enjoyed this one. Feel free to leave your Black Ops 3 beta opinions in the comment section below, and I hope you all have a fantastic day. Later, guys. Oh, the double headshot through the wall, I'm so good. No, I didn't kill that guy in the back. Damn, I thought that would. Sad lollies. Get carried, team!
Gentlemen,